What's it like to play Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis on Switch? We got a sneak peek at Chris Evans as Lightyear. And I had my review of Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho, and we discussed the latest PlayStation showcase. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. Hey, welcome to the Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and I'm so glad that you've joined me here today in the Electric Playground. Today's episode is brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you don't want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. All right, today's dedication's a little bit different. I'm dedicating this episode to IATSE and to the safety of film crews all over the world. The news of the gun that went off and killed a cinematographer was just absolutely tragic, and it really highlights that there needs to be more safety precautions on film sets everywhere. It's entertainment. We love it, but people don't have to get seriously hurt or die creating this stuff that, inspires our imagination. All right, let's get started with the rundown. Let's talk a little bit about what happened at the PlayStation Showcase today. PlayStation held a new State of Play today to show off some of the upcoming third-party titles that are going to be hitting the PlayStation 5, and it was a pretty underwhelming video presentation, to be honest. There were three big standouts in the presentation. One of them is a new look at a Star Ocean title that absolutely looks beautiful, great, gorgeous vistas, and lots of cool alien monsters to come face-to-face with. Looks like a really slick upgrade to the Star Ocean franchise. It's going to be a lot of fun to jump back into this world for sure. I was also exceedingly happy that Death's Door is coming to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. This has been one of my favorite games of 2021. Don't sleep on this, PlayStation fans out there. My review for the game is on the channel right now. You can watch that. It is exceptional level design and really cool storytelling, lots of moody environments, lots of awesome puzzles and cool combat. Death's Door is wonderful, but I think the showstopper of this PlayStation State of Play was a better look at Little Devil Inside. We see that it's an action role-playing game. There's kind of like a meta overworld that we're cruising around on the map, jumping onto trains and hopping into cars, getting into conversations with different people and acquiring all kinds of items. And then, yes, we're going to be besieged by all kinds of threats, whether they're tentacled or they come in vast numbers. You've got to use your wits and your gear and your skill and try to finish the jobs that Little Devil Inside is presenting to us. Apart from that, we saw some free-to-play stuff, a new Five Nights at Freddy's game, something that looks vaguely similar to Among Us, but in 3D, and some DLC for Bug Snacks. All of that was just really mediocre. It wasn't a great presentation. It certainly doesn't hype us up for leading into what is happening in holiday 2021 for PlayStation 5. But in all fairness, PlayStation 5 has had a really good year this year with games like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Returnal and the always great MLB The Show and Deathloop. There's a lot of solid content for PS5 owners to pick up this holiday season, if you can in fact pick up a PlayStation 5. All right, now let's move over and talk a little bit about Nintendo Switch Online. Nintendo released the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack on Monday, and I picked it up primarily because I know that my daughter and I are going to be playing the DLC for Animal Crossing, and honestly, I wanted to see those N64 and Sega Genesis games on my Nintendo Switch OLED. I streamed a little bit. A bunch of you were joining me. It was a very fun stream, by the way, over at twitch.tv/EPN. Had a lot of people that were curious about the performance of the Nintendo 64 software and the Sega Genesis software. I'm going to say right out of the gate that the Genesis stuff just looked and played much better. I loved playing games like Musha, jumping back into Gunstar Heroes. I was blown away by the beauty of Echo. There's some really incredible stuff on the Sega Genesis platform. And yes, one of the things that I always say is that there's a lot of different ways to access those Genesis games. Sega's done a good job at repackaging them. But still, this was fantastic emulation, a really, really slick and nice way to enjoy these Genesis classics. Although they've been a little bit more current with me because I've been playing a lot of Genesis stuff recently. I was curious to jump into the N64 stuff, and the 9 games that they launched with are decent. I think out of them, Star Fox 64 is the strongest of the releases in terms of being pick up and play and aging incredibly gracefully. Yes, we're talking about pointy polygons on this game and all of the games on the Nintendo 64. Star Fox 64 just plays beautifully. I also really enjoyed the Yoshi's Story game, but I am hearing reports of some wacky audio performance and some button pressing lags, which is impacting performance on games like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I didn't really stick with these games long enough to notice too much. The one game that really stood out for me, though, was Mario Kart 64, which just looked way too sharp to my eyes, and I don't know if it's because I was playing it off of a screen that's immediately in front of me, but it just looked like it was etched out of paper and it was moving like it was a paper recreation. Everything was just sharp edges, you know, and I guess I'm used to playing a lot of this N64 stuff on the CRT monitors that I used to have with the N64. What's my overall impression of this launch package and the announcement of the expansion pack? At $50, which is what it now costs to upgrade to collect all of the Nintendo Switch Online content, that is a sizable amount of money that people are going to have to commit to get the whole meal deal. I think there's real value there, though, if you had already planned to pick up the Animal Crossing DLC, because that would offset a big chunk of the cost. The real kind of barometer now is to see what Nintendo does with the rollout. One of the things that kept coming up on the stream is that Nintendo should have a calendar. They should have a forecast of the games on a regular recurring schedule, not just for Nintendo 64 and Genesis, but also there's still lots of games for Super Nintendo and the NES as well that should be available on this platform. But, you know, all in all, it's pretty magical to be able to easily access a back catalog like that. Yes, I do think it's expensive, but Nintendo is only allowing people to get that expansion pack by paying for a whole year, so hopefully they've got a lot of good plans for the year ahead. And the other thing that I'm hopeful for is that they're going to smooth out any of the performance hiccups that we're seeing in the N64. The Genesis stuff, though, wow, and I hope there's still lots of other Genesis games that are going to hit the service. It's pretty fun. I want it to be irrefutable in the next few months. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's talk a little bit about Edgar Wright's new movie. I went to see Edgar Wright's new movie last night in Soho, and if you're a fan of Edgar Wright and you're expecting something along the lines of Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead or Scott Pilgrim, be prepared to be shocked by this new turn that Edgar Wright has taken with this movie, which I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed. The filmmaking craftsmanship is unbelievable with this picture. There's lots of incredible transitions as we float into different periods of time in Soho, in this district in London, which I've traveled to many times and I absolutely love. It's really a love letter to an era, and it's a love letter to the city of London as well, even though that comes with an asterisk and some warnings about some of the seedier parts that exist within the beautiful city of London. The film has a pretty terrific cast. Anya Taylor-Joy is the headliner. She was terrific in The Queen's Gambit, and she is luminous on screen, as she always is. But I think the real standout here is Thomasin McKenzie, who plays Eloise, or Ellie as she likes to be called in the picture, this burgeoning fashion designer with stars in her eyes and a grand vision for her future, who gets accepted into this London art school to kind of follow her dream, and then gets caught up in this mystery and intrigue, which the movie pivots towards in this organic way, and it sneaks up on you. You're not quite expecting some of the twists and turns and, yes, shocks that are a part of this experience. The soundtrack is a massive part of the experience. Edgar Wright likes to craft his pictures, if you've seen any of his previous movies, with a lot of intentional music choices. He actually edits and writes a lot of his stuff to the music that is going to be a part of the film, and you can feel that. I mean, it's just crackling with energy. And I really loved the period stuff that we got to see in the film, and the way that it was all composed, and the beautiful costumes, and the slick hair. Matt Smith, former Doctor Who, plays a very snaky character in this, who's got a seductive quality about him, which kind of brings you in, as well as the leads of the film in, and then, you know, stuff starts to turn and twist a little bit. I'm trying my best not to spoil a damn thing, because I want you, if you happen to be an Edgar Wright fan, or if you're, you know, at all kind of interested in spooky mystery thriller type films, this is something to be experienced. It's really well made. There's some great shocks in it. I definitely recommend this one. I'm going to give Last Night in Soho an 8.5 out of 10. And finally, Disney and Pixar released the teaser trailer for Lightyear today, and man, it looks incredible. I was skeptical about Toy Story 4 and fell in love with that movie. And again, I'm coming at Lightyear with a bit of skepticism, and then I see this trailer, and it's just riveting. It's so well put together. The art is beautiful, and yes, it makes sense that we want to find out who Buzz Lightyear was before they made a toy of him and stuck him into the Toy Story movies. Chris Evans, I think, is a pretty natural choice to play this heroic character that is part of Star Command. We get to see a little bit of the space travel and some of the alien encounters that are going to be part of this movie. It's just cool to see Pixar go all in on sci-fi again. It's been a little while since WALL-E, and the sci-fi touches and elements that have been a part of the Toy Story movies have always been super fun. But now they really get to craft a science fiction fable for us. I can't wait for Lightyear. Comes out summer 2022. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with some fresh content for you. In the meantime, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our page on Twitch, twitch.tv/EPN. I stream there all the time. Thank you to all of our subscribers and especially our EPN members. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.